This is the High School Football America podcast for September 26th, 2019. I'm Jeff Fisher. All right, we're heading to New York today on the podcast, a big one. Number one versus number two in the High School Football America, New York, statewide rankings, Archbishop Stepinac under Mike O'Donnell, who's been there 32 years as the head coach, 40 of them total at the school, in the very powerful New York Catholic League taking on Iona Prep, a rivalry game. And Coach is here to talk about that game and clue us in a little bit about what it's like to play a rival. And in some cases, over the last couple of years, it's a couple of times because we get to the postseason as well. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, let's dive right into it. You guys have been playing since 1950. You're nearby to each other. Tell us a little bit about this rivalry game for all the listeners around the nation. What's Stepinac and Iona Prep all about?
Yeah, Iona Prep is right down the road from us. We're literally 5 minutes away. So everyone on each team, they know each other very well. The coaches know each other. We've coached together, before and against each other. So it has that feeling of the Hatfields and McCoys, but it's just a great rivalry of two great schools, and we'll have thousands and thousands of people here on Saturday, and there won't be one problem. It's both schools respect each other, and we both know that regardless of who wins the game, we might meet each other again later on in the season in the playoffs. The way our league is set up, it will be the 72nd playing of the game, so it's the game's been going on a long time, and our alumni really gets into it, and it's just a great day for the two schools.
Yeah, and I mentioned New York Catholic League, one of the more powerful ones around the country. For those people that don't know about it, everybody knows the North Jersey schools, right? The Don Bosco Preps, the St. Joe's, the Bergen Catholics. Out west, they know Mater Dei and St. John Bosco, but you guys play a pretty good brand of football there. Tell the listeners a little bit about what it's like in the league and how tough it is in the tradition of the New York Catholic League.
Yeah, sometimes New York doesn't get as much credit as I think they deserve, especially in the last 5 or 6 years. I think the level of ball has really, really increased, and we're sending kids all over the place. In our division, with Christ the King and Cardinal Hayes and St. Anthony's and Monsignor Farrell and Iona, there's hundreds of kids playing college football all over the place. We're lucky enough to have 52 kids playing college football at the moment from the last 4 years. So, we get kids at Syracuse and kids at BC. We have kids at Navy, and Buffalo. So we're sending kids out to great schools, and our whole league is just like that. It's a very, very competitive league, and it's real strong football.
Talking to Mike O'Donnell, the head coach at Stepinac, White Plains, New York, number one in our ranking, taking on number two, Iona Prep this week. And Coach, I mentioned it before, you're one of those guys I love. I don't want to call you an old-timer in a bad way, but I love it when you have a guy that's been there for 4 decades. Tell me a little bit about your love of the sport, even though you've been around it a long time. You must love it, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it, right?
It's... It keeps you young, These guys, watching them grow up and be successful is the key to the whole thing, And it's it's still a lot of fun. I got an unbelievable staff. I have 12 assistant coaches on our varsity, and we have 6 JV and 6 freshman coaches. So we have a large staff, and we got 179 kids playing football here, and football numbers here are not a problem. It's a very popular thing. Out of 780 boys, to have that many kids playing football is an awesome thing, and we're really proud of that.
No, that's great numbers in a sport that, like I always say, I hate the fact that people beat up on it, but I love it when I hear great numbers like that. Mike O'Donnell on the line, the head coach at Archbishop Stepinac, White Plains, New York, big game, arch rival against Iona Prep this week. And whenever we do this, Coach, it's all about the kids, right? It's wonderful what you get as the head coach. You do the interviews, but these kids, that's what it's all about. So let's talk a little bit about some of the leaders on this team by name. Who are some of the kids that you expect big things from come Saturday?
Yeah, our quarterback Joey Carino is he's the guy that gets us going. He has 8 offers. He also was offered by Syracuse for lacrosse, but he has chosen to, right now, he is committed to Albany, in the CAA. And Joey is a 3-year varsity player, and there's nothing, he hasn't really played much in the second half of any game so far. I mean, he does it all, though. He can pass, he can run, he's very intelligent, and it's great to have a leader like that at that position. It's so important. So he's our one guy that, we really lean on right now. And, he led us the last 8 games last year. He led us to a state championship, and he played almost perfect going down the stretch. So, he's a National Honor Society kid. He's, 95 average, and, the sky's the limit for him. There's other schools still talking about him, and we were talking to some of the service academies last night about him. So, we'll see where it all goes. But he's just an unbelievable player. Up front we have a big offensive lineman, Johnny Cornelius. He had 6 offers, and he's decided to commit to Howard University. He had Hampton, he had Bryant, and a few others offer him as well. But he's a payloader. He's one of those guys who's 6'5" and 315 pounds, and he's been a 3-year starter for us. And just a tremendous player. Our running back Makai Green, and also plays safety, is one of those guys. He had a great game against Iona last year. The first time we played him, one of our running backs went down, and Makai stepped in and had just a ridiculous game. He solidified our defense last year on our state title run, out of the safety position. So, he's just another guy. He doesn't have an offer yet, but he's, just one of those guys. He'll get something sooner than later. Kid Kevin McKenna is probably one of the best high school football players I've ever coached. He's just one of those kids that has the nose for the ball. Last year he was second on our team in tackles at linebacker, and he just makes plays that are just highlight plays all over the field. He'll be the first guy. He'll punt the ball and be the first guy down the field making a tackle for a loss against the kid who runs a 4.4. He runs down and downs the ball on the 1-yard line on punts. He makes tackles on kickoffs. He probably might be one of the best running backs around as well. So we didn't use him that much last year at running back, and he's going to see more time, at the running back position. He's been offered by Utah lacrosse, and he has a preferred walk-on with Utah football. So they have asked him to play both. He's committed there. So it's, pretty high level of, you can understand what kind of athlete he is. Mm-hmm. Joey Carino's thrown to some real good receivers. Quentin McCauley's got 5 touchdowns in the first couple of games, and Miles Walker, I believe he has 4 in the first couple of games. And those 2 guys have been go-to guys for him. And if they get loose in the secondary, they've done a great job of getting in the end zone. Another guy on the offensive line, Mike Tartaglia, is offensive line, defensive line. He'll, split his time. And Mike's also a National Honor Society guy, and he's, one of those guys who does anything the team needs, and he's 285 pounds and 6'3". He's, 1,300 SATs. So, we're really lucky we have 7 National Honor Society guys on this roster. So it's, we got some great academic kids. Zach Barnes, a linebacker, just got offered by Bodine yesterday. And I think that's his 6th NESCAC school that he's been offered by, with Bates and those types of schools, which are we call Nogalivia here in the Northeast. So it's so there's a lot of different kids and a lot of different places they can go and play afterward.
Coach Mike O'Donnell on the line, Archbishop Stepinac taking on Iona Prep coming up on Saturday. Number 1 versus number 2. And Coach, a couple of coaches I've had on the show lately have been talking about, they love the fact that they can get some wrestlers into the football program. They always think that wrestlers make for great football players. But in the Northeast area, you mentioned the lacrosse a couple of times, and we all know the best lacrosse football player was Jim Brown, right? Tell me your thoughts on how lacrosse and football kind of blend together and benefit each other in each sport.
Yeah, I mean, lacrosse here has been great in the New York area. We play at a pretty high level, and we have quite a few lacrosse players on our roster, other than McKenna and Carino. And those guys, we really want kids to play as many sports here as they can. We're not a school that tries to tell them that they should only play one or play another. And that's really important so they're well-rounded and they have more opportunities. I mean, those guys, to see them offered by Syracuse and Utah and, Stony Brook and all different kinds of places in lacrosse, it just opens more doors for them, and they have unbelievable choices to make, when it comes to decide what they want to do after high school. And, lacrosse is just one of those sports as well that, it's a tough sport, and it's the kids are unbelievable athletes. We have a couple of schools in our league in Chaminade and St. Anthony's and Iona Prep that have great lacrosse programs, and you're playing against these Long Island and Connecticut teams all the time, and you just see the athletes that are running around, and I think it's great for these guys. Our basketball is as good as anywhere around as well here at the school, and we're going down and playing in Florida in one of the biggest tournaments in the country. We've had Kyle Parry and Coach K and everybody else in the gym in the last week recruiting one of our sophomores. So the place is awesome. It's jumping. The alumni are really excited, and all the sports have really done a great job of playing at a pretty high level. So we're really proud of that.
And you're the athletic director there. You were also the basketball coach, I think I read at some point, right? You love it all. You're a multi-coach, a sport coach.
I did basketball way back when. I think back in the 80s. So it was such a long time ago. It was a little bit different game back then, but I actually really enjoyed coaching basketball here, and I go to every basketball game. So it's like I'm not still involved. I just don't coach it anymore. But I think when I got married, my wife told me I had to pick one. So she's the boss. So.
And hopefully you picked her first, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Mike O'Donnell is on the line. Stepinac taking on Iona Prep, a big one in New York. It's the Catholic League there in New York is great. You heard Coach talk about that. You had a lot of great success over the last, I guess, since 14. I think I read four titles there in the league. Tell me a little bit about what that does from a standpoint of getting you ready for a big game. You've got the tradition there. I'm assuming the senior leadership steps up. Tell me a little bit about that, how you get the kids ready for a big game like this, and get them ready to go out there and know that this may, as you said, may be the first of two during the season.
We definitely don't overplay the game because we don't want them to get too uptight or crazy about any one game. Mm-hmm. We take one game at a time, and every game's a playoff game as far as we're concerned. Because our record in November the last few years has been incredible, and we have one of the best records in obviously in New York State because we've won the state title 3 out of the last 4 years and won the league 4 out of the last 5 years. So it's that's the most important thing, is getting better each week. But for a game like this, you don't need to be having pep rallies and stuff like that here. I mean, the people are already excited. We are having Crusader games tomorrow, which is the whole school competes against each other in all different events and jousting, and it's a fun day with food trucks for the kids, to kind of start off the year type of thing. So that's going to be exciting and lead into the game. And it wasn't planned that way, but it just so happens that we're doing something like that. As far as the kids, they're ready. I mean, they expect to win. At this point, maybe a few years ago when we played on Iona or played at St. Anthony's, I don't think you thought a little bit differently about going into the games. And the newspapers around here have asked me, and I think we're going to win. I mean, the kids think we're going to win, and we don't change that mindset, and it's being confident and know that you have to put the work in is the most important thing. And we're excited about it. And don't get me wrong, but it's years ago, I would have locked myself in a room if I lost the game, and, and I don't obviously do that anymore. So it's, we know we're going to probably have to face all the good teams again later in the year. So it's you don't make too much out of the first one.
Yeah, no, and with that age that you've been there for 40 years comes a little bit of wisdom too, Coach. Tell me a little bit about the approach, though. I hate using the word sandbag when I use it. People are like, well, Jeff, what are you talking about? I mean, do you hold a little back knowing you may have to meet somebody a second time, which has usually been the case over the last couple of years? Do you downplay this game, not bring out the whole playbook?
Yeah, I don't think anybody holds anything back. You might choose to approach this game one way and save some stuff for the second time. I mean, around and but I don't think there's too many people. You get in games like this, to win the game, you have to have everything in your arsenal. I mean, you gotta. If you don't use it, that's your choice. But it's you have to be ready to do about just about anything, because you never know. The other team is very, very well coached, and they have athletes everywhere, and they get tremendous players. So it's a chess match, and it's you see who wins the chess match and whose kids play, and whose kids make plays.
Yeah.
It's you really about the Jimmy and Joes most of the time, and it's you love to think that any one of us is the reason why you win or why you lose. It really comes down to it's the kids who have to go out there and perform, and we feel pretty good about our kids. They work really hard, and they work hard in the off season, in the weight room, and that's probably the biggest difference between 15 years ago and now in our program is our kids. They walk into a room and they just look the part, and it's, maybe 15 years ago they weren't lifting the way they do now and stuff. So it's, we're confident.
Mike O'Donnell, 4 decades at Archbishop Stepinac in White Plains, New York, a dandy in the Catholic League there in New York. Again, underrated, but they play some darn good football. Number 1, Stepinac versus number 2, Iona Prep. That's in the High School Football America New York top 10 that's created with our proprietary algorithm. You can learn more by going to highschoolfootballamerica.com to learn about this great series. 72nd meeting between the two, dating all the way back to 1950. Should be a dandy. That's going to do it for today. I'm Jeff Fisher. You've been listening to the High School Football America podcast.